Hello, hello, hello. So here I am with my new look. It's very, very simply rigged right now, but this is the level that I guess I'll go through on this stream. So basically, what I have is a tilting left and right, head turning left and right, and, you know, eyes, and a mouth that only opens and closes. Hey, Lil G and Belle. Yes, it's a preview. So it's actually really straightforward to do it to this level right now. But before I kind of go into that, I want to just go over the features of the free version versus the pro version of Live 2D Cubism, because I'm using the free version, and I think, well, most casual people will be using the free version. So I'm gonna bring up the Live 2D website here, which has the... sorry, can't stay. Alright, thank you! So the difference between the pro version and the free version, there's quite a lot if you scroll through. But for the purpose of like doing a model like this, I think the ones that are the most limiting, I guess, or at least the ones that I notice the most, is the texture files. So the max 1 up to 2048 pixels. This means that the resolution of the model is limited. So let me zoom in a bunch. How much do I need to zoom in for you to be able to see the pixels? You can see though that it's not super duper clear, and you can also totally see where I've moved the layers. But it's actually pretty good, I find. Like, even though I zoom in this much, you can sort of see the graininess, but it's not that noticeable. I suppose it might be bigger if I, like, zoom in this much. But yeah, you won't zoom in this much, right? Like, you can see the pixels in my eyes and stuff. Let's go back down. So I guess if there's if you want to use your model to zoom like super close in, then you won't be able to do that with the free version. Trying to get back to a normal size. And then there is the number of art meshes. I find that 100 is pretty okay. But then again, I also try to limit things so that it doesn't come to the point when there's 100. So for example, when it comes to my model that I drew here, knowing that I'm going with the free version, I combined a lot of my layers. So even though when I was drawing this shirt front, I had it split into multiple layers. However, to limit the amount of like overlapping textures and stuff, I just put it as one. Because if I did have them separate, what happens is that the texture map, I'll just generate one. The texture map, oh, I guess you can't see it because it's a new window, but the texture map is basically, it takes all of your different parts and it tries to fit it on one screen. So if you have a lot of parts, the resolution of each one is much lower, which kind of ties into this max of 2048. And then the max motion parameters being 30, I also find might be a bit limiting. And well, as it says, it's the parameters that set particular motions. So for example, one parameter is this movement, another parameter is this movement, and then the eye blinking and looking in different directions, those are also parameters, so 30 is also limiting. The max number of blend shape parameters, I think that's kind of workaroundable. But you know what? As we get further along, it becomes less of a difference to me. So those are kind of like the big differences between the pro and the free, and the ones that I want to try and keep in mind as I rig. And yeah, even though I go through all of this and talk about it as if I understand what I'm doing, not like I rig models normally, so don't take this as a guide, I guess. Take it as inspiration, if you have to. Well, see ya, Vocaloid fan. So, the idea here is, even if you don't really know how to use Live2D, or rather, you don't have much experience, it's still possible to make a model that can do the most basic motions. And I also think that the UI has gotten better in the years. So, first off, I'll go through the parts. We've got in this corner the parts. It might have a different name, it might have an actual proper name, but these are the parts. So basically, when you import your PSD file, it'll have different layers, and each layer will show up as a different part. You've also got this number here, and this is the draw order. So if you were diligent, you could change the draw order so that the layers that should be appearing on top are of a higher number, and the ones that are appearing on the bottom are a lower number. I'm not super dedicated, so I don't bother. It's gonna come in handy for things if you've got something that's overlapping, and then when you, I don't know, turn your head, it overlaps a different way, but I think I've got I've got my layers divided so that I don't ever really need to use that, so we'll see as we continue. But one thing to keep in mind is the clipping ID. So, oh yeah, there's an inspector. That changes based on which one you've selected. So you can see both the name, the ID, part, deformer, and the clipping ID. So, clipping ID will get used for the eyes. Let me see if I can express this. Basically, right now, if the, let's say, eye is gonna blink, or how do I put it? Maybe I won't use the clip just yet so that I can show what it does. But I'll get back to that later then. So yeah. That's what it is. And then over here are deformers. So the concept of Live2D is that there are 2D images that move in order to create motion, right? So let me jump over to my completed model. Because I'm starting from one that has nothing on it right now. So this is one where I actually have stuff set up. So the concept of Live2D is that you can have moving shapes. So as I move from right to left, the 2D image basically slides. So going back to my starting point, the first one that I do is the head in the Z direction. So I grab everything that would be part of the head, and then I put them into a deformer. And then I just realized something, but before doing this, the way that I should be describing this concept. So I said before, it's moving layers, right? So let's say, for example, when I look to the right, this moves there. Look to the right, it moves there. And you have to do that for each layer. However, everything needs what is called a mesh. So I'm just going to use the automatic mesh generator because I am not so fancy as to create my own. However, it is definitely possible to create your own meshes if you want things to deform in its own way. So that's just using the automatic mesh for kind of the heavy one, because I don't know any better. And as a beginner, that's enough for me. So yeah, now that there's a mesh, you can see like this grid on everything. And that grid is what gets deformed. Right? So starting with the first deformation that I tend to start with, I grab everything on the head. You see this? And then I add a rotation deformer. And I'll call it head Z. So what this does is it creates this kind of origin point, and I can move this with Alt. And what happens now is if I turn it, everything that I have inside that deformer, so the things that you saw me select earlier, will just tilt according to this rotation. And I can move the rotation around as I wish. So this is angle Z. This little pane here are the parameters. The parameters are the key to movement. So as I said, angle Z is this one. Right now I don't have anything set, but what happens when I'm tracking with a camera is that it tracks my head movement. When I tilt my head to one side, it's actually reading it as the angle Z, and if I tilt it all the way, that's 30. If I tilt my head in the other way, it gets read as -30. So what I want to do is I want to select the one on the rightmost side, and then basically tilt this to however many degrees. So what's going to happen then is when I'm tilted at what the camera registers as 30, it will look like this. As I tilt my head back, the camera registers my movement and heads back to what would be 0. So this is about the tracking of your camera. And then same idea, when you go to -30, the camera will be tracking and give you a number that'll be -30. So as I'm over here, it'll look like that, and as I turn, it'll go back to 0 when I'm looking up straight. So obviously there's a bit more fine-tuning, and when it comes to the parameters, like default parameters on Live 2D, they've also got a body Z. However, VTube Studio doesn't seem to have that tracked. So you only really need to use one of the two parameters. And that's kind of the whole being efficient with your limited 30 parameters in the free version. So that's like the angle Z. Now, of course, when you're turning the head, you just want to make sure that it's connected to the clothes. Which is why I also have the body moving when I tilt my head. And this also still needs work as well, what I have right now. But that's the basic idea. So the more complicated part is turning your head from left to right. And this is where you'll have to split things up. So the way that I have it is that I've got one part for the face. So you see how this is what the face looks like as a selection? I'm gonna grab everything that is in the face. So for example, the eyes are on the face. So I'm gonna select the eyes. The eyelashes are also, the eyebrows are also on the face, so I'll select those. The mouth is also on the face. And then that's it for the face. I've also got things like ears and hair, but those are kind of outside of the face, so I'm keeping them for a different deformer. So for the face, I'm going to be using the warp deformer. Hey, Adamkey! Ah, thank you! Alright, so this, I forgot to rename it, this curved surface is the face XY. And so the base here, I'm going to use to basically do angle X. Angle X is this motion, the looking right and left. So if you wanted to go super crazy, it is possible to do profile views in Live 2D, but I don't know how to do them. It requires a lot of setup. The easiest way to do them, the angle X with like little experience, is to simply move the whole face over for each side. So it's actually possible to reflect them, so I'm just going to do one side first. And we'll have it looking to the right. And then I've got these sections of the hair all in different parts. I'm going to separate them with a front, middle, and back. So for the front, if you look at my model that I have rigged right now, when I look to the right and left, you can see clearly the front part moving, right? That's my bangs. So if I select that and add another warp deformer, I can call this bangs XY. And I'll do the same thing where I create the angle X and slide it over. So I'm not doing any real deforming right now. If we're talking in like math terms, this is a translation? Turning the head in angle Z is a rotation. And I guess we'll have a reflection later. That's your like, what, grade 5 math? Alright, and then the mid hair, I have it connected with the hair strand. Just because I think that looks kind of cool. So I'll just call this like mid hair XY. So that moves a bit, right? Actually, I need to do this first. So that's like the most basic way of moving to the right. So you'll notice though that when I look from right to left, that's not all that happens. There's a bit of deformation that happens. So the way that this works is you see all of these dots? I can use these to deform things, as the deformer suggests. What happens when you look to the side is that this part kind of gets squished. And this side gets kind of long, right? So it's all about trying to figure out how to get that looking right. And you might notice that the face looks weirdly squished, but we're gonna fix the eyes after, and the nose and the mouth. Right now, what I'm concerned with is this shape right here. So you can deform it more to get more of an effect, but it also gets kind of more difficult as you deform it more. So if you want to keep it simple, you can deform it less. So yeah, you can see that the face is like weirdly squished now. And I tend to think that the eyes help a lot with making the face look less squished. So let me show you the eyes. This here is the left eye. I guess I kind of skipped that part, but when we're talking live 2D, if you're looking at the screen, this is the right side, right? But if you imagine yourself being this person, this is their left eye. So that's why we refer to this as the left eye. So I'm going to take everything that's on the left eye, the left top eyelash, the left side eyelash, the left bottom eyelid, the left top eyelid, the left eye shine, the left iris, and the left eye white. So those are all of the eye parts for the left eye. And I'm going to create a warp deformer for that. And that will be the eye XY. And using this deformer, I can kind of make the hair, not the hair, sorry, I'm deselecting the hair. The eyes look like they aren't just strangely squished. So it'll require a bit of like tweaking, but doing something like that could make the eye a bit less weird. And I also realized that I forgot the step of adding the, what are these called again? Nodes or something on the parameters. So what happens when you forget to add that is that it stays like that no matter where you go. So I'm just gonna undo, get myself back to my starting position. And add these, what are they called? I think they're nodes. And you can always just keep adjusting things, by the way. If you find that something looks a bit strange. Like I'm trying to make the face look a bit closer. Oh yeah, another thing that'll quickly help is just the nose and the mouth. So let me do that real quick. So for the nose, when it turns to the right, it goes to the right. And the shape of the nose means that it will do this. Right? So as I turn to the right, you can see that the shape of my nose also goes, you know, points to the right. And the mouth would also move. So I'm gonna move the mouth a bit by creating a deformer specifically for the mouth. And I'll just repeat again that, you know, I don't know what I'm doing. This is just how I do things. Okay. So if you imagine that from the middle look to looking to the right, very quickly. I can then very quickly again reflect things. So I can't show you menus because of the way that I'm sharing my screen, but it is possible to reflect your mesh, your deformer, sorry. So what we can do, since the face is kind of the main one, I will reflect the face. Alright, so you see that? It has been reflected. So now everything that I did on the face to turn it to the right is reflected and it's turning to the left. So let me grab the nose and do the same thing here. So the nose can be reflected to the left. And now I'll do the same thing for the mouth. Because as you see... Oh wait, I guess the mouth already has it. Now I'm a bit confused, but you know what? I guess it works out. So that's like ultra super basic. You can see that the eyes are really messed up, but that's just a lot of fine-tuning. And the strategy that I used for this eye, I did one eye and then I copied and pasted basically on the other side. So there is a strategy for that, but I won't go over it here. Because there are plenty of tutorials that will actually teach you how to do that. This is just a quick... Don't be intimidated by live 2D. Hopefully what I'm doing is not more intimidating. But yeah, to turn to the left, we'll just do the same thing with the hair. Maybe moved it a bit too far, but the nice thing is that you can always move it back. And you can basically just adjust things as you see fit. So in the same way that we kind of reshaped the face, you can also reshape the hair. So like, for example, I want to make it bend a bit more. Because if I imagine, you know, turning the head, that's what I see, right? And you see now how the way that I changed the mesh so that it kind of like curves when you turn to the side. It looks like it's a round head that turns as if it were a round object, as opposed to being a sliding image like this. So I can do the same with this mid-hair, where it curves as the head is turned. Right? That gives it a sense of like turning around a sphere. Compared to this where it's just sliding 2D images. And just do that on this side as well. So we're practically at the level where I'm at, except for the more particular, you know, blinking and mouth stuff. One thing that I hadn't yet done on my current model, because, you know, I was trying to keep it very simple, I hadn't done the ears yet, so I'm gonna do that now, actually. Because, like, if you look here, my ear is actually detached. So I'll add the XY deformers for each ear. Each ear has to be separate because as you turn your head, they move in different directions. So then the left ear. So I'll add those for each one. So first off, when you are looking to the right, your ear does not detach, so I have to make it follow there. And so that I can see what I'm doing, let me hide the hair again. And in fact, as you turn to the side, more of your ear becomes visible, so I'll actually try and make it a bit bigger. Right? So as the head turns, it follows and kind of becomes more visible. On the other hand, this ear is moving in the opposite direction. And to get it the shape that I want it to be, trying to kind of push it into a different direction. Basically, it's like bending back a bit, but I don't want to hide it completely, so it's a bit awkward. You can see as the head turns, the ear bends behind the head. And then the same, or rather the same, like the opposite, I guess, is happening here. Whereas you turn on this side, you can see more of the ear on the front, and then the other ear would be hidden. You know what, let's do this. Save myself a bit of the clicking. So it turns in a bit more. And that's like the ear situation. And bringing back the hair. Right? So in what? Half an hour, you have a very rough ability to tilt and turn your head. Obviously, it takes more time to like refine things, but personally, I found the easiest way to learn using Live 2D to just do a really quick attempt to familiarize myself with the parts, like understanding how parameters work, understanding how deformers change things. So if you make something really simple like this, where you don't really change all that much, you just move the layers over and kind of curve some things, and see how it looks, that's a very good first step. That's kind of like how my first stuff went. In fact, this one's more fancy than my first stuff because when I first started, I didn't even know that rotation deformers existed. So when I was trying to like tilt something, I had to like I was using the warp deformer. Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. Alright, so then the complicated part, but the most rewarding part. It's the eyes. Let me find it. It's under my face, and the eyes. So, I'll take a warp deformer of eye. Let me rename this. L-I-X-Y. Also completely ignoring the fact that I haven't added one for the right eye. But really, we work on one eye at a time. So right now, the eye we have here just tilts. Let me make it a bit nicer over here as well. Since I have it after all. Just attempting to adjust things. Alright, you know what? That's probably close enough. Okay. So we have the left eye. The parameters we're gonna use, well, there's actually two parameters that I think make the eye look really nice, but if you're a beginner, you can stick with the open and close. The other one is the smiling one, so I have a very basic one on my model right now, so let me see. This is smiling, and then if I frown, it gives it a slightly different expression. So I'll just do the opening and closing. Hey, Bucky! I'm kind of doing a speed run rig of what I have up right now, and then I'll continue with what I am using right now. So, for blinking, the parts I have: top eyelash, side eyelash, bottom eyelid, top eyelid, eye shine, eye iris, and eye white. The most basic thing is the concept of closing the eye. So, in order to close the eye, essentially what you're doing is putting the eyelash and the eyelid downwards. So there's a couple of ways that you can do this, or there's probably more than a couple of ways to do this. It feels so weird seeing you with a new model. Well, that's what this whole project is about. So the, how should I put it? The way that I like doing it is using this here, which is essentially, what is it called? Deform path. It's a deform path. So what this allows me to do I'm gonna have a closed eye, a neutral eye, and an wide open eye. Because I like that look. I'll adjust the numbers later, but my neutral eye is in the middle, and my closed eye is at 0. So, when you close your eye, your top eyelash goes to the bottom, right? And actually, I drew that on the top eyelid. So I'll draw one for the top eyelash. Wait a moment. Okay, I guess they go together. So let me move that down together. Let's say around there. Cool thing is that I can just move the lines and it kind of deforms the mesh. So now that I've zoomed in, you can see all these polygons, and that's like the mesh. And what it does is basically within this triangle, there's a certain texture in it, right? So as that bends, that's kind of what makes the shape change. So to close the eye, let's kind of just flatten it out and think of it as like a closed eye shape. That looks like a pretty good closed eye shape. So you'll notice that the white of the eye is quite visible. What we can do here is also add it to the eye open, and when it's closed, the way that I like to do it is basically just transform it down. So as the eyelid closes, that goes down as well. You'll also notice that the iris is visible. So here is where I will bring us back to the clipping layer. Clipping ID is basically what you would consider a mask or a clipping layer in, you know, whatever drawing software you're using if it has that. We're looking at the left eye. So we want the left iris to be clipped onto the L eye white. So I'll just copy the ID of that and paste it here. You can also select it, but I find it easier to paste. And so now it's disappeared. And I want to do that with the shiny part as well. So there. Now they're clipped onto the white part of the eye, so that's how it closes. Alright. So I've got a side eyelash. I still haven't quite figured out what the best way to deal with this is, but the way that I've dealt with it here is basically to forcibly squish it down so that you kind of don't see it. Like that. So when your eyes open, it opens with it. Right? And then last but not least, you've also got the bottom of the eye. So the bottom eyelid will basically rise up to meet will rise up to meet the top of the eye. Alright. And that's how you do a very basic opening and closing of the eye. So one thing I did realize is that the eyeliner eyeshadow, this thing, I need to split the layers so that the part that's pointing out doesn't stick out like this. So basically I need to do the same thing as I did with this side eyelash. I need to separate it on a different layer so that I can like hide it together. But yeah, that gives you an eye that opens and closes. Really, really basic. But once you have that, it makes a live 2D model feel very alive. And then for fun, you can always add the wide open expression. And for that one, you just basically, you know, make their eye go big. And then the bottom as well. It's like big shock. And the other thing that happens when the eyes are very wide open is that the pupil also shrinks. So again, this is all very rough. Alright, and then here's the trick. You take your left eye, you right-click, copy, and then you paste it. And now you have a second left eye. You see this? You have a second left eye, but what you do here is that you... Where is it? Reflect. And then you can reflect it horizontally. So I think here, I have now just reflected that one eye. It's still called left eye because it was a copy, but this is now what was the, well, it's at the position of the right eye. So all of this right eye stuff, right eye up to here, I can just delete these. And it's still got an eye. And that's like a full perfect copy, so. Oh, did I miss one? Why does it look like I missed something? Oh, did I? Huh? R.I. White? Is it standing somewhere? Yes. R.I. White. Yes, I missed this one. Okay, now it's a perfect copy. So that's how you could kind of do an eye really quickly. Right now they're both mapped to the left eye, but you can move it over to the eye are open. Search it up, I guess. But you know what? I can show. You select the stuff that you want to move, and then you basically click on change. You can't see it in my menu because of the way my screen is shared, but when you'll get a menu over here, and then you click on change, and then you can change which parameter it's on. So that way you can open the eyes independently and wink. Why do VTuber pupils dilate when blinking? Some people like to add eye physics. So when they blink, it like, I don't know, their eyes have physics on them. I think that's a bit overkill. But basically you can set it so that the same way that when you like turn your head and like your hair jiggles, then you can blink and your eye jiggles. Why? Because they want to? I prefer not to have it. It's like a personal preference. It's like, if you can, then some people will want to. Alright, and that brings us to almost at what I have here. The only other thing is the mouth, but honestly, the amount that I rigged the mouth here is just open and close to the most minimal amount. You just use the mouth open and mouth close. Grab your upper lip and lower lip and just like open it and then close it, depending on where you're at here. So that concludes my speed run of my current model. So I'm gonna jump over to, this is my current model with everything. Oh wait, I forgot about this. To do the eyeball X and Y, you just grab. You go to eyeball X and Y. You grab your eyeballs and you just move them. I can do that like right now. You would take this and you can essentially just be like, when the eye moves to the right, it moves to the right. I like having that in a deformer though, just for my own sake. It moves to the right. When it looks to the left, it looks to the left. And why? When it looks up, it looks up. When it looks down, it looks down. And then you can click on this thing and it links two of them together. So then it looks like that. Now the corners look weird, right? There's something called synthesize corners that you can do. I wonder if it's in the quick menu. It's not in the quick menu, but you can go to the, is it actually? Parameter. Alright, I'll give up on the quick menu. But if you go to like the, you know, top bar, modeling parameter, and then synthesize corners, basically synthesizes the corners for you so that now it points in the corners. And then that's like your eyeball movement. That's it. That's all. Are you adding any toggles? Is this all tracked? Yeah, so in the beginning, I talked about it. I'm using the free version of Live 2D, which means that I'm pretty limited. So I'll kind of go back to that real quick. Alright, from the, you know, Live 2D website. The limitations here, where the toggles would come in, is the max number of motion parameters. So in the free version, this is 30. The reason that this matters is because each of these is considered a parameter. I definitely want this parameter, so actually, you know, I didn't even bother counting. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I guess I might have some room for some toggles, but not really high on my list of priorities. If it works out, maybe I could add a toggle for like my vest. Because at the moment I have it as one single layer. But well, we'll see. I feel like it's more interesting to have physics than it is to have toggles. Because for things like, I don't know, taking off the vest, I'm thinking I could just replace the texture with the shirt version and then just save that as a whole separate model. Anyway, this here is the one that I'm currently using. This is me at the moment. And what I want to do right now is fix my ears. Where are my ears? Here they are. This is my right ear. And then I want my left ear. So instead of getting my ear ripped off, it is gonna stay attached. And of course, I forget to set the parameters there, so I have to redo that. Which one was this? L ear? I'm not the best at the ear thing. Oops. This one, I think after figuring out the other one, I'll just do this. No need to get too complicated. Basically just shrinks behind the head. So the thing about the ear is that I can do the exact same thing I did with the eye and copy and paste to the other side, but honestly, I think the ear is simple enough that I'll just do it. on both sides. This means that it's not going to be perfectly symmetrical, but like, I guess that happens. Ears don't have to be perfectly symmetrical. Plus, it's blocked by the hair for a decent amount, other than this one, I guess. This one you hardly see. See it for a moment, and then it's gone. Am I regularly saving? No. I'll save right now. Alright. There is some basic head turning with ears now attached. So the new thing that I wanted to add today was the Y angle. The Y angle is very similar to the X angle, but, you know, in the Y direction. And it gets used often with the X angle because you can link them, kind of like how the eyeball X and Y are linked. And that's why I have all of my deformers named as XY. Because I'm going to use those same deformers for the Y-axis. So starting again with the face, I'll set everything to default values and then close the eyes a bit. For the face XY, I set the Y. When Y is at positive 30, that is looking up. So I can't look up right now with my model. I will be adding it. So looking up is like sliding this up. And deformation-wise, the chin gets a bit shorter, right? And if you consider this grid as being on a circle, then this kind of thing happens. Honestly, the top doesn't really matter because it's covered by the hair. And then this can slide up a bit. So that's kind of what looking up does, right? That might be a bit too high. Like, it tilts up. I'll do it a bit higher. The funny thing about VTuber models and looking up and stuff like this, there's a lot of things that depend on how the head moves around. As a result, it tends to make the neck look long. I wonder if this is easier than 3D animation. I find it quite easy, honestly. I guess, though, when it comes to 3D animation, you can reuse a lot of stuff. If you have the same... How do I put it? Skeleton? Though, that's me not knowing much about 3D. And then looking down. So slide it down. Squish this a bit. Squish it a bit more, maybe. the face looks kind of derpy, but that's how things work. Let's move the hair around a bit. When you're looking up, the hair is gonna go up as well. And I'll make it do this. Right? And then when you're looking down, it's gonna do the opposite and it's gonna go down. And mid-hair, we've got it going so that when you look up, it's gonna have that deformation as well, but to a lesser extent, I'd say. Because what's happening with the middle of the hair compared to like the front of the hair, it's already at like the top. So might do something like that. And I'm seeing here that I need to do something about the draw order, interestingly enough. This hair strand needs to be behind the center bangs. So what I need to do is take this and do a +1. And now the draw order shows that it's above that. Right, so mid-hair, when looking down, is gonna go way down, because I have actually back hair at the back. Alright, let me do something about the bangs a bit. Might be a bit too high. Okay, maybe not actually. I want them to be high. It looks better if they're higher up. An interesting thing that's going on here, now that I'm moving it so that I'm looking down, the back hair layer that you see here is really just a few scribbles, and that's because I wasn't really visualizing how it would show up here. So perhaps what I'll do once I have this figured out is kind of redraw some of it so that you can actually see the hair, as opposed to like, you know, a layer that's just kind of blue. And then last but not least, the back hair. Oh my, the back hair. This is me being lazy while setting things up. Back hair doesn't even have a deformer yet. Back hair XY. Let's give it an X and a Y. So when you turn to the right or left, honestly, does the back of the head change at all? Not really. But if you're looking up and down, if you're looking up, the hair at the back of your head will go down a bit, I think. Because if you consider the fact that when you're pointing your head up, the back of your head is actually going down a bit. Is there a term for the 4 downward spikes? 4 downward spikes? Are we talking about the back of my hair? That's just the back hair, isn't it? And then when you look down, the back of your hair should go up because the back of your head is actually going up when you look down. So that's my logic, at least. And then everything else will be determined by physics. Alright. That's very roughly up and down. I really like the down look, honestly. I feel like that looks quite accurate to looking down. The up look, I've always been bad at making the looking up expression. Alright, let's correct these eyes. So, when you are looking up, let's bring it all up. And try to make it a bit less weirdly stretched. The nose will definitely go up some more as well. And so will the mouth. Again, I'm gonna ignore one of the eyes because I'll just copy and paste it. Now that I've got this eye set up though, it's looking a lot nicer. So let's look down, where the eye is actually pretty okay, but I still want to kind of move things around. Alright. Honestly, that looks pretty decent. Let's copy this. Copy everything in the eye. Paste it. And then reflect it. Alright, and now I have to go through the whole resetting stuff again. So let's delete the RI, and since this is my actual model, I'm gonna go through the effort of renaming them so that it all makes sense to me. So in the inspector, I'm just gonna go one by one and rename them. And once I'm done this, I'll have to change the parameters that they're set on. So quite a few little detail kind of steps to go to. But after that, I can try it out. Oh, and then this is the actual left eye. Alright, so first off, for this whole part here, just looking through things, okay. Change from IL open to IR open. And then change this one from IL smile to IR smile. Whew. Did I catch everything? Let's take a look. Well, first off, actually, do I have a copy of an eye I need to delete? Yeah, I have stuff I need to delete here. Here. Delete that. Where am I missing stuff? This one. Is that everything? Alright, reset everything to default values. When the left eye opens and closes... Ah, I missed the pupil. Change this from IL open to IR open. Okay. Alright, that's independent from this. And let's close both eyes. The smiling is independent. Okay. That should work for a rough kind of y-axis. So, before I say that that's everything for the y-axis, I'll do the same thing that I did for the eyeballs. Link the x and y angle. And then synthesize the corners. So, I just go to modeling, parameter, and synthesize corners. So now it should automatically work to synthesize all the corners for me. So if I run the animation, there is now a greater range of motion in the head. And just for the heck of it, let me show you guys what it actually looks like. So I'm gonna export this. Just give me like a minute. And then I will switch my model to the one that I'm gonna save right now. Ultra super fast. Seeing what results come out of here. So if you remember the range of motion that I had before, and then after, what, half an hour of messing around with stuff? Let me just set a folder. Okay. And then I am back. This is now me with the new range of motion. So I can look up and down now. Isn't that like really simple if you think about it? In half an hour, I went from only being able to look left and right to being able to look up and down. And like now I've got corners. So obviously, you know, this is not commercial level, but it's all stuff that can be tweaked with practice and time. And honestly, it's pretty functional. Just sliding some layers around, squishing them around so that they look kind of normal. And then it works. It's always so fun to play with the first moment that you rig something. It's like, wow. So basically what's left, you know what, I'll just make myself big again. Like that's it for this stream, for what I'm gonna work on in live 2D. But off stream, I'm gonna work on this mouth of mine. This one that can only open a tiny bit and close right away. I'm gonna add some different expressions, so, you know, let me point over on my screen. Okay, actually, I can use the back of my pen here. Look, this mouth form and mouth open, pointing with the back of my pen. These two are gonna be big, so that I can smile, frown, open my mouth in like an O shape, an Ah shape. What other shapes are there? The shape where you can see your teeth shape. The cheese shape. So that's all gonna be from the mouth form. And I guess the other thing that I have to do, this brow form. So right now my eyebrows are completely stationary, but it's super easy to do the brow form. Like it's easier than the... Actually, it's so easy that I said I would stop editing my live 2D today, but let me just do the eyebrows. Let's bring this back to normal and... Alright, eyebrows. The eyebrows are just too simple to not go through it. Where are they? So we've got 2 eyebrows, right? Let's use the right one because I see most of it. You just go to brow, R, angle. And you can just honestly, you can, for the brow angle, you can literally just use the main one and then just be like, angle. And then the other angle, angle. And now you have brow angle. And then you also have brow form. For the form, it's nice to use the path, since you are changing the form. And I can't remember which was which. So look it up when you're actually doing it, but all you need to do to change the brow shape is just, you know, change the shape of it. So I'll just reflect it if I accidentally did it the wrong direction, but you know, the shape of it is like this, or it's like, where are you? Or it's like the other way around. So pointing this way. Anyways, search up the actual way to do it, but the way to change it is really easy. And then you can just copy and paste it again to the other side. Oh my gosh, I have so much range of movement now. Looking up. You can see me look up! Anyways, that'll be it for today. I think that was a pretty straightforward run through of the ways to rig. Next week, I will just do a drawing stream of some kind. So, you know, not rigging. I'm debating actually whether or not I'm going to do any more rigging on stream, since at a certain point it just becomes fine-tuning little things like, I find that, let's say, this angle, my nose is a bit too far left or too far right. And then, yeah, not too fun to watch. Or like, for example, when I said I'd redraw my back hair so that I can see what's happening back there. That's probably something that I'll just fine-tune and stuff. But yeah, I'll probably just be drawing next week. I'll decide whether or not I'm drawing something myself or we should draw something together. Maybe we'll do that again. But alright. That is all for today. Thank you guys, oh, you'll be back? Well, I won't be here! Yeah. That is it. This space is really interesting. And that is all. So, thank you for watching, and if you want to try Live 2D, the free version, it's free! And it's quite fun. Alright then, bye, and see you next time.